I never thought the smell of ink and polished tile floors could carry so much weight. Banks had always been just background places for me, sterile buildings with fluorescent lights and people rushing in and out. That morning, I walked through those heavy glass doors thinking it was just another errand. A quick signature, a form, a deposit. I was wrong. I had no idea I was walking straight into a storm that would force me to choose between the blood that raised me and the freedom I had quietly prayed for my whole life. My father was already inside, sitting at the corner desk, his fingers tapping against a stack of documents. He didn't look up when I entered, but I could see the stiffness in his shoulders. Next to him sat my stepmother, her eyes sharp, her lips curved into a smile that never reached her face. She reached for my arm as soon as I was close enough, her nails digging into my skin just enough to sting. "Sign these," she whispered, sliding the papers toward me. I glanced down. Property deeds. Bank accounts. Everything my mother had left me when she died years ago. I was still so young then, too young to understand that her absence would become a battlefield others would try to claim. Now, at 23, the weight of my inheritance had become chains in their eyes, something to control, something to strip away from me before I could stand on my own. My father finally looked up. His face was unreadable, but his voice was firm. "It's just a formality," he said. He pushed a pen into my hand. His eyes avoided mine, as if even he couldn't bear to see the hurt he was inflicting. For years, I had let them steer my choices. My stepmother decided where I studied, what I wore, even who I spoke to. My father stood silently behind her, letting her shadow swallow me. And now, here they were, trying to take the last piece of my mother's love, the one thing that had been mine alone. My chest tightened. The air in the bank seemed to grow heavy, pressing down on me. I wanted to scream, to tear the papers in half and run. But they were watching, their grip iron, their intent clear. And then, something inside me shifted. I realized that if I gave in now, there would be nothing left. No voice. No freedom. No me. I looked down at the pen in my hand. Instead of moving it across the document, I shifted my gaze to the teller's counter just a few feet away. Slowly, carefully, I stood, my stepmother's nails slicing into my arm as she tried to hold me down. I forced a smile. "Just a moment," I murmured. She followed me with her eyes but didn't stop me. At the counter, I scribbled 4 small words on a deposit slip and slid it to the young teller. My hand trembled as I pushed it across the glass. "Help. They're forcing me." The teller's eyes flicked up, wide and startled, but she didn't say a word. She only nodded, her hand pressing a button beneath the desk. My father shifted uneasily in his chair. My stepmother leaned forward, suspicion in her eyes, but it was too late. The bank manager appeared, locking the front doors with a heavy click. A moment later, the distant sound of sirens grew louder, closer, filling the space between each heartbeat. My stepmother's grip turned vicious. "What have you done?" she hissed, her voice sharp as glass. My father stood, his face pale now, panic breaking through his calm facade. For the first time, I saw fear in their eyes, not for me, but for themselves. When the police entered, everything became a blur. Questions flew, voices rose, hands gestured. I stood frozen, my arm still stinging where her nails had broken skin. But then a female officer placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You're safe," she whispered. Safe. A word I hadn't felt in years. Giving my statement was harder than I imagined. Saying out loud that my own father had stood by while my stepmother tried to strip me of everything, of my dignity, my rights, my future, felt like ripping open an old wound. But as the words left me, I realized something powerful. I wasn't just telling the police what happened. I was reclaiming my story. The days that followed were not easy. Court hearings, paperwork, family members calling me a traitor, telling me I had ruined my father's life. The guilt was heavy, almost unbearable. But every night, I would remember that moment, the pen in my hand, the whisper of my stepmother, the weight of 4 words that set me free. And slowly, I began to breathe easier. My father never reached out again. Part of me still aches for him, for the man I wished he could have been. But another part knows the truth. Sometimes, family can be the very chains that hold us back. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. I used to believe blood was everything. That loyalty meant sacrificing yourself, no matter the cost. But that day in the bank taught me something different. Family isn't always the people who share your name. Family is anyone who stands by you, who protects your freedom, who helps you become who you were meant to be. When I think back now, I don't just remember fear. I remember strength, to the moment I finally stood my ground. That's the gift I carry forward, the message I want to leave with anyone listening. You have the right to say no. You have the right to protect what's yours. And you have the right to walk away, even if it means leaving behind the people you once called family. So I'll ask you, have you ever been forced to choose between family and your own freedom? Have you ever felt that breaking free meant breaking your heart? If so, know Thesa, you're not alone. Sometimes, courage doesn't look like winning a fight. Sometimes, courage looks like slipping a note across a counter and choosing yourself, at last.